Hey there, Knicks fans. This NBA season, every shot you take with Fanatics Sportsbook puts points on the board. Earn up to 10% FANCASH on your bets, win or lose. So even if your bet misses, you're still scoring FANCASH. Unlock the world of Fanatics with FANCASH for exclusive rewards like authentic apparel, game tickets, and meeting legend at Fanatics events. Make the switch and turn every bet into a bucket with Fanatics Sportsbook. Winning hits different here. Well, that was fucking brutal. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. It is your boy, Jonathan Macri, here to talk to you about, it's going to happen at some point. Every season, it's just a matter of when. Our first heartbreaker of the year. And that was absolutely a heartbreaker for any number of reasons, starting with the fact that it was the Miami Heat. The hated Miami Heat, who just doesn't ever get any easier to lose to those guys. But more than that, I think this one had all the makings of a game where, you were going to, have the sort of feeling afterwards like we had on Friday night, where the Knicks down to, certainly their best player, some might say their two best players. Certainly two of their most important players. And on a night when they did not have it, certainly from a shot-making perspective, they finished tonight shooting 9 of 36 from three. On a night when their opponent shot 14 of 35 from three. We'll get to that. Don't worry. They were still in this thing all the way through. And they got hit in the mouth what you thought was going to be one final time. Down 10 with whatever it was, 3 and change to go. And to have for one, to have several chances to tie it up, and briefly actually did tie it up if the goaltending call wasn't overturned. It was a game that you were going to feel really good about. It was a game that you were going to be really proud of them for, but now it's a loss. And now we have to do the unfortunate thing that when a game like that turns out to be a win, which literally was like, an inch away from, well, maybe not an inch away from happening, but if that ball that Cat put up at the end, the last shot attempt of the game, that was a quarter of the way down. That thing goes down, they win in overtime. Obviously we're going to be having a very different conversation, but you know what? Such is life. And when you lose, you open yourself up to a number of complaints, and there are going to be a lot of complaints tonight. And I'm going to honor all those complaints. But I'm going to tell you right now, I am not mad at the effort that I just saw. I'm not mad at the team for anything that they did or did not do. I'm not mad at the coach, who, is made some interesting rotation decisions, down a couple of guys, and we're definitely going to get into that in a few minutes. And I'm certainly not mad at any of the players. And that includes Karl-Anthony Towns. And I know this was a frustrating Towns game. Y'all know me enough by now to know that I have absolutely no problem unleashing on Karl-Anthony Towns when I feel that it is warranted. The final numbers, not great. 1 of 7 from three, although that one was absolutely massive. He saved his best for last, as he often does. It's worth noting. But 7 for 20 from the field, 22 points, 5 personal fouls, including the usual allotment of silliness, 4 turnovers. So you just look at those stats and it's not good. And then you look at some of the process stuff and that's not great either, right? Frustration getting to him with some of the silly fouls. I thought the first half was certainly not his best. But I also see a guy that came out there in the second half, and was it perfect? No. Was there some more of the stuff that gets under your skin about Towns? Yes. But I want to remind everybody what I said after the last game because it rings no less true now, which is that just because Towns is the sort of player whose mistakes and errors are louder, and they are, than other players, does not mean other stars, does not mean he should come down, we should come down on him that much more hard. Is it more frustrating because Jalen Brunson's out and he is the guy? Yeah, absolutely. Because he's the one who's has to shoulder the load. The reality is there is a reason why through 10 years, the league has kind of agreed upon the fact that Karl-Anthony Towns, for all of his talents, is not a guy who could be the best player on a championship team. No one's disputing that. No one disputed that after Friday night. No one's disputing that after tonight. No one's really disputed that for years. And games like this are why. It's the inconsistency. But I'm going to give him credit for hanging tough. I'm going to give him credit for gritting out a game where it required a lot of him on the defensive end. Again, was it always great defense? Absolutely not. I thought in the second half, he kind of came to play more on that end of the floor. 16 rebounds. I mean, that's, if the Knicks won this game, they would have won it based on their rebounding margin, which I think was 49-40, and I think is extra impressive because the one thing that Eric Spoelstra was harping on more than anything else over this entire weekend was rebounding. Guess what? Didn't work. The Knicks still kicked the shit out of them on the boards, and Karl-Anthony Towns was a big part of that. Is it frustrating to see him get decent looks from three and miss? Of course. But I'm not going to sit here and kill the guy for taking open looks from three, even if they're a little bit further out, And it's funny, you heard Breen on the broadcast, and I could tell what was going through his mind because it was going through my mind too, because he put up that one shot from three that you were like, man, that one's not a good shot. And Breen said it, that's not a good shot. And immediately he caught himself. Not that he went back on what he said, but he immediately was like, not that any shot is ever truly a bad shot. I forget what exactly his words were for Towns, but acknowledging, when this guy's open, it's tough to tell him not to shoot it. Look, they didn't go down tonight up until that last one. Again, frustrating night. I know Towns is going to get killed tonight. It is what it is. I just wanted to say at the outset, it was a tough game from him. It was not a good Towns game. I would say it was a bad Towns game. I'm not going to sit here and destroy him for that because I thought, along with the rest of his teammates, all things considered, it was a gritty effort on a bad night. And then you look up and down the rest of the roster, and this is what makes it a tough loss because Mikal Bridges, that was a hell of an effort from Mikal Bridges. 23 points on 14 shots. He was the Knicks offense for really most of this game. You want to talk about a guy who stepped up in the absence of Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby. That Mikal Bridges game, really on both ends of the floor. How about this? 4 blocks and 2 steals for Mikal Bridges one game after he had 7 steals and 2 blocks. When's the last time a Knick had 9 steals and 6 blocks over a 2-game span? There's one. I'm probably want to look that one up. But Mikal Bridges is playing out of his mind, certainly defensively. The shot came back tonight. I thought he played within himself. And then obviously Deuce McBride, a big-time game. He was questionable. The final numbers don't look great. 10-23 for 25 points. 5-12 from 3. But, look, your guy Jalen Brunson's out. Your guy OG Anunoby's out. Someone's got to step up. And McBride, look, Clyde got on him for that last lefty running, I guess you'd call that a layup attempt. Was it a great shot? No. But this is what happens when you have your star is out and another, probably the best role player in the league. He's so good at being a role player. You could argue Anunoby is a star in his own right. When that level of player, when you're missing 2 of those guys, you're asking everybody else to play above their heads. Some guys are more capable of it than others. Mikal Bridges, I think, is very capable of it. Cat is capable of it at sometimes and not capable of it others. Deuce, I thought, gave you a really representative performance tonight. Was it perfect? No, it's not. Perfect, but those threes gigantic threes down the stretch of this game. And, and him with Bridges And then I got to throw in Josh Hart too. And again, if we're going to get on Towns for a frustrating game, we got to get on Hart for a frustrating game. The difference was that Hart, I think the things that he did in the positive column, the positive contributions that Josh Hart made, and he finishes with 14 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, 6 turnovers. There's a Josh Hart stat line for you if you ever wanted to see one. The positives were certainly louder. I mean, there was a play in the fourth quarter where Miami tried to throw the ball ahead on the outlet pass, and Hart just hustled back for the steal. And then obviously Hart getting the offensive rebound that led to the Karl-Anthony Towns 3. I mean, there's a reason why, even though it was an imperfect game for him, Mike Brown had Josh Hart down the stretch. And I have no problem with the lineup that Brown played late. I'm sure there's going to be some discussion about whether Mitchell Robinson should have been in the game for parts of that fourth quarter. I get it. I get it. At the same time, and this is going to lead me to, and look, by the way, if your argument is not only does Mitch help you on the defense, but how many second shots is he giving you? Because he is, in case anybody needed a reminder, rebounding fucking 30% of misses that his team has. I mean, he played 18 minutes tonight and had 5 offensive rebounds. That's low for him. You know what that pace is? That's only 10 rebounds, offensive rebounds per 36 minutes, which is actually below the record-setting pace he's currently on, but is still higher than anyone else has ever done in the history of the league. So you can make that argument, and look, when you lose, hindsight's 2020, and you're open yourself up to anything. So I'm not going to be like, no, you're wrong to suggest that Mitch should have been in more down the stretch for defense, for offensive rebounding, the whole thing. The reason why I understood the direction that Mike Brown went in, and this is my biggest real takeaway from this game, to the extent that there is one in a game where you didn't have Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby, is you saw in this game, on a game where Cat was not at his best and Cat's shot was not falling. And that's the thing with Cat. When his shot's not falling, it just changes everything else. So when you didn't have the Friday Cat, which, again, that guy can lead your team to 140 points. But when you didn't have that version of Cat, and when generally your 3-point shooters were not hitting shots, Landry Shamet 1 of 7 from 3, came back down to earth. I mentioned Karl-Anthony Towns. Josh Hart 0 of 3 from 3. I actually don't even remember. Oh, yeah. I was about to say, I don't remember 3 Josh Hart threes. That's because 2 of them were grenades. Again, I love you, Deuce. Amazing game. But, elite ball handler you're not, which is going to play right back into this point. Clarkson 0 of 3 for 3, although I'm going to get back to Clarkson in a second because I thought big minutes for Clarkson on the offensive end in the fourth quarter, not so much on the defensive end. My point, I finally got here. Without Jalen Brunson, this team, if Cat's not going to be otherworldly Cat, just has no path to consistently generate really good looks. They just don't. And that's not a condemnation on the front office because, they have assembled this roster in a way that makes, give or take some defensive tendencies of Karl-Anthony Towns. They've assembled this roster in a way that makes perfect sense around Jalen Brunson. And if everything is assembled to make perfect sense around Jalen Brunson to the point where you have the stretch 5 who theoretically, and we're starting to see it, play very well with Jalen, and the 2 wings who defensively can cover up for Jalen and also knock down threes and be threats around the arc and do a whole bunch of other secondary playmaking as well. Like, I'm not going to kill him for not having that secondary playmaker. Cat, not your traditional number 2. We've talked about it. It is what it is. But on a night where Jalen Brunson is not in the game, you see it. Because for as much as you can get little bits and pieces of what Jalen Brunson does from, roughly in order, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, I was about to say Josh Hart, Jordan Clarkson would be kind of 2-3 in some order. Because let me tell you, Jordan Clarkson did a pretty decent Jalen Brunson impersonation on a few of those possessions in the fourth. And a pretty good Jalen Brunson impersonation on a few possessions on the defensive end as well. Clarkson was good. They needed him. They needed him tonight. And then fourth on the list after Bridges, Clarkson, Hart, and then you want to throw Towns in there too. Really, it's fifth on the list is Deuce. And I hate that this is turning into a negative thing towards Deuce, but again, there's nothing we haven't said before. Deuce McBride is many things. A point guard is not one of them. So when you're ostensibly your starting point guard is not someone that can or can consistently initiate the offense in the way that a Jalen Brunson does, you're going to get possessions where you had tonight, where I actually think, all things considered, they did a pretty good job generating good looks. Now, was some of that on isolations? Absolutely. I thought they passed the ball pretty well in the first half and just missed more shots in the first half. They ended up with 23 assists on 43 made field goals. That's not great. But again, a lot of those were good looks. 9 of 36 from three. Were there some bad looks out of those 36? Absolutely. You're going to have that on a night with no Brunson and when Towns isn't doing his crazy stuff. But there were also a lot of good looks in there that they missed. Like Shamet, out of his 7, he made 1 out of his 6 that he missed. 2 or 3 of those were really pretty good. Cat had a bunch out of the 6 that he missed that were pretty good. Clarkson had an open one from the corner that he missed. So they had the looks tonight, and so I guess I'm going to spin this into a positive by saying, yes, do they have the ability to generate that level of offense without Brunson and when Cat is not otherworldly? No. And yet, 113 points on a night where you shot 9 of 36 from deep, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, all things considered. Let's get to a couple other things before we get to the super chats. I'll talk about the defense first. People are getting frustrated, and fans are getting frustrated. I'm not there yet because I guess this is the old Knick fan in me. Not actually, no, it's not the old Knick fan. The old Knick fan in me, the Knick fan from the 90s, would be apoplectic. This is coming from the Knick fan who watched whatever it was, 18 out of 20 or 17 out of 19 years of just utterly pathetic basketball and effort and all of that stuff. The effort is there. These guys are bought into the scheme. I really thought the effort in the second half defensively was at a very high level. Really, I don't think that's overstating it. If you guys disagree, tell me you disagree. You know how to do it. I thought that the effort in the second half was at a very high level. Defensively, the execution this season has not been where it needs to be. There is overhelping going on. There is probably just helping going on that does not need to happen at all. I think you are seeing the cracks in the cracks in the pavement here, because again, when you lose an all defense caliber player, and when your other semi all defense caliber player and Mitchell Robinson is only playing 18 minutes a night, and that's all he played tonight. Well, now all of a sudden it's like, okay, you still got Bridges. That's good. Then who's your second best defensive player on this? Is it McBride? Okay, well, you're giving up some size there, but that always will come into play here and there. And then it's Josh Hart, and then it's like, okay, 26 minutes of Clarkson. 39 minutes of Shamet. Shamet tries, but Shamet's size is what it is. And I thought I don't have any complaints about Shamet defensively tonight. He tries his ass off out there. By the way, 39 minutes for Landry Shamet. Boy, oh boy. And Towns, obviously, and one other guy who played 10 minutes. I guess we could get to now, but before I get there, no, the defense isn't good enough. The defense needs to improve. I am not going crazy about the defense because I do think it's early. I do think it will improve. I trust these guys to get better as the season goes along. And at the end of the day, if they don't have OG Anunoby, they just don't stand a chance defensively against certainly good offenses. And I think we're at the point where we could say the Heat are a good offense. Okay. Certainly a unique offense. And they put a lot of pressure on you. And I think the Heat are going to be heard from this year as far as I'll say right now, I think the Heat are going to be a playoff team. Not a play-in team, a playoff team. Okay. Last but not least, unless I have missed anything. No, I talked about Hart, talked about Clarkson. talked about. Yeah, I mean, Shamet 2 of 11, man. It's tough. I mean, I can't kill Shamet. He had the game of his life the other night. Okay. Gershon Yabusele and the Knicks. I'll call it the Knicks deep bench in general. So I was going back and forth with a few people on chatnix.com. Shout out, by the way, to chatnix.com. We like launched this thing like a month ago, I think, maybe a month and 5 weeks ago, something like that. Almost 400 members. As a reminder to anyone who hasn't joined us, all we do is we just talk about the Knicks all day, and especially during the games. So go download that app. Again, chatnix.com. We're giving away 2 tickets to the Raptors game on November 30th in about a week or so. So all you got to do, join up with that, and then make a comment, and you're entered to win. Kev, that's a good stat of the night. Anyway, so I was going back and forth with some fans in there, and I was saying, and I think I used the words massive something, massive miss, massive something, in terms of if this is what they are going to get from Gershon Yabusele on almost the whole mid-level, that's a massive issue. Now, I said that at halftime. Second half, Gershon Yabusele came in, and I actually thought he played pretty well. He didn't score in 10 minutes. He didn't take a shot in 10 minutes. He didn't even look like he was looking to shoot in 10 minutes. Got 3 rebounds. It did not look like he was. It was I mean, again, were there moments? Yeah, there were moments. He did not look out of place on defense. I thought he actually played pretty well on defense. Offensively, like he was getting in there. So this is really, it's not really a commentary on Gershon's performance tonight, because again, I thought in the 10 minutes he played, it was okay. But the fact that they are down 2 starters, and Mike Brown, who is a coach that I mean, I'm always going to default to trusting the coach, as everybody well knows. Everybody well knows. And I'm going to trust this coach. And if Mike Brown did not feel like he could turn to Gershon Yabusele in the first half, when he played 7 guys plus Mohamed Diawara, and I was hoping Mohamed would get a shot here, and he did, and he got a shot for about 48 seconds. Like that. First of all, that's just not a good sign. Maybe I overstated it earlier, but it's not a good sign. And I hope it's a wake-up call to Yabusele, and maybe he's already gotten his wake-up call because he's kind of already fallen out of the rotation. But like, man, with OG and JB down, to not get off the bench in the first half, and then I'll even go further than that. Like, and this kind of gets more to the front office end of things, where you used 3 draft picks last year on Tyler Kolek, on Pacome Dadier, and on Ariel Hukporti. And Hukporti, I can't even really put in this conversation. The guy was a 50 whatever pick in the draft. But like Kolek and Dadier in particular, for them not to get time in a game like this, again, I'm not putting 1 ounce of blame on Mike Brown, because we saw both of those guys play more in the preseason in Dadier's case and some in the regular season for Kolek. They did not look like they were ready to play minutes for a team that has intentions on winning. And that's a tough look, and I routinely not only defend the front office, I kind of stand for the front office, not as much as some do, but I just think I have a particular appreciation of what it is to be a front office working for Jim Dolan. I like how I combined Jim and Jim's. Just Jim, one Jim. But like, it's a tough look. It's a tough look that those guys can't give you 5 minutes in this kind of game. Especially when, and this is how I'm going to circle all the way back around, I just said everything I said about the lack of a real true playmaker on a night like this, really kind of shows up. And you got a point guard who we know is a gifted passer right there on the bench. And again, to be very clear, one more time, for anybody who may not have heard the first 2 times, I'm not blaming Mike Brown at all for this. Really not. Like, just tough. You'd love for one of those guys, and Dadier, who would be a theoretically good OG Anunoby replacement for even 5 or 10 minutes, a big wing who could shoot and maybe defend a little bit. Well, that's what he was supposed to be. And we're seeing Mohamed Diawara before last year's first round pick. So what does that tell you? Okay. That is, I think, it for me. I'm sure there's going to be a lot to go through as we get through the super chats. Before we do, though, very cool thing happened the other day. We're going to shout out our friends, of course, at Fanatics Sportsbook here. So Jeff J, I don't know if anybody caught this. I think he tweeted out or something on social media. He put a 3-leg parlay in for Friday night's game, Heat at Knicks. And the 3-leg parlay was Mitch over 8 rebounds, OG Anunoby 2 or more steals, and Jordan Clarkson 9 or more points. Now, for anybody who watched the game, you know that Jordan Clarkson destroyed this over-under. And Mitch also got where he needed to go, despite the fact that he was mired in foul trouble. OG Anunoby, unfortunately, only played 5 minutes in this game. So he did not hit 2+ steals. But if you're watching on the YouTube screen, you'll see it. If you're not, I'll explain it. You see a little handshake icon next to OG's name. And that is because at Fanatics Sportsbook, they believe in fair play. And if a player gets injured in the first half, they will do something that you won't find in any of these other sports books, and they will wipe that part of the slate clean. So Jeff was able to hit on his parlay, which became a 2-leg parlay with just Mitch and Jordan Clarkson. And he went home a happy man. Jeff was eating at Sizzler on Saturday night, thanks to fair play. So shout out there. And then before we leave our friends at Fanatics, just a quick announcement. Our winner of the survey contest. Remember, for the last several weeks, we've been saying, fill out the survey and get a chance to win $100 in FANCASH. Well, that person, I didn't know if we were going to put up the name, but he goes by apparently DT Beefcake, and he lives in Yonkers. Shout out to him. He's got $100 in FANCASH in his account as of 9 p.m. tonight. So I wish that he could have, bought a Knicks jersey or something in celebration of a win. Alas, doesn't always go your way. So there we go. All right. That's it. Shout out to Fanatics, and let us move on to whatever people want to talk about, which I'm sure is going to be totally fine and measured, happy. Slayer 568. Watching the first half reminds me that number one, hold on, I gotta ask Kev a question. Towns is frustrating as hell, and number two, OG is the second most important on this player on this team, not Cat. Cat is frustrating as hell, and it is. I think I needed to get my Milwaukee game rant out just so I could what's my favorite movie title? Not my favorite movie, my favorite movie title ever. Doctor Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and was it How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Atomic Bomb? I forget I probably screwed that up. But I think that's an appropriate title for Karl-Anthony Towns. I'm stopping worrying about it. I know what he is. Is it going to annihilate us all? Probably at some point. But you know what? Sometimes it's a lot of fun too. I don't know when atomic bombs are fun, but whatever. Other than that, it's slamming analogy. Anyway, yeah, he's frustrating, and you're going to have games like this, but at the same time, when he's on, when Jalen Brunson is healthy, yeah, you'll still get these sort of games from Cat. I think they're minimized, and also more importantly, the impact is minimized. And overall, I'm not about to complain about a Cat season that thus far has been certainly very, much more good than bad. Sorry, Andrew's reminding me that was not Jeff's, like some random parlay from Jeff. That was a betting and sweating parlay. Sorry, Andrew. I knew I was going to screw that up. Anyway, OG is the second most important player on the team, not Cat. OG is the second most important. We got another super chat here. JDM 1985. When it rains, it pours with Cat. Lots of bad. Yes, lots of bad with Cat, but there was. I'm going to point to three specific things. He tried his butt off on defense in the second half for the most part. He really did, just like everybody did. I thought they all tried out there. Now, are we giving gold stars for effort? These are NBA players. We should not. But I don't know. It's the guy in me that had to watch 2 decades of just abysmal basketball. Always going to be there. Number two, Hold on. Kev, can you not hear me? I think people could hear me. I hope people could hear me. Andrew, chime in. Anyway, number 2, Cat was important from 2-point range, certainly throughout the second half. So that was, and I thought like he put his head down, got some tough buckets, the whole thing. And then what was the third one? I had a third point, which of course I'm forgetting what it was. Cat did another thing that I appreciated in this game. And of course I'm blanking. But whatever. It wasn't a great Cat game. I get it. It was lots of bad, and it was frustrating. On the OG point, I want to go back to that for a second. Is OG Anunoby the second most important player on the team? Man. No, I think it's Towns. I think it's Towns. Because I think to win the title, you need a second with whoever you're going to get to go through to win the title. I think you need you're going to need a second like dynamic offensive force. And I really like Mikal Bridges, and I really like OG Anunoby, but they are not the level of dynamic offensive force that Karl-Anthony Towns is. And I just think they're going to need really good Karl-Anthony Towns for them to. So I'm going to put Cat in that position, which is, again, a scary place to be, but it is what it is. All right. I'm going to give a hand signal now to Kev because Kev can't hear me. So this is how I'm going to let Kev know that it's time for the next Super Chat. Norman Jean, what's going on, Norman Jean? Note, never let Deuce take final shot ever. Awful 2 times. I can't get with you there, Norman. I understand that was a frustrating attempt. The only reason they were in the game late was because of Deuce McBride. You know, I get you. It's frustrating. Sure. Totally. I'm with you. Okay to voice the frustration. That's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for, to hear the frustration. Deuce McBride is a player that I have come to gain such an appreciation for. I remember what the third Towns thing was. It was the rebounding. So rebounding, second half, 2-point shot making, and effort on defense. Anyway, back to Deuce. I've gained such an appreciation for Deuce because you know what that guy's going to bring every night. You know what he's going to give you. I mean, his 3-point development has been just so massive for this team. And has he developed in all of the ways that the Knicks would have liked for him to develop at this point? No. I don't think it's for lack of trying. I think he's as good a seventh man. You're not going to find many seventh men better than him. You know, is he in the argument for the best seventh man in the league? Maybe. He's up, might be up there. But and he shouldn't ever be in that position. But the honest truth is, on a game like this, on a night like tonight, like, he had a runway, he saw it, he took it. I don't have it in my heart to kill him for it. I'm sure if I go back and watch the replay, I'll see, there was a pass he should have made or whatever. I'm not going to kill him for it. Okay. Kev, next one, we're good. I love how I'm saying, Kev, next one, we're good, and he can't hear me. Hush Zoo. Probably Deuce's best game of the season, but those last 2 shots from him, absolute head scratchers. Never take Cap for granted. Let's go Knicks. They're not head scratchers. They're not head scratchers because when you think about the player and you think about the position he is being put in, the position he is being put in is to be the starting point guard on the team. That's literally the position he's playing. And he's doing it on a night where his superstar or superstar-ish, whatever you want to call Karl-Anthony Towns, did not have it in a big time way, and everybody recognized that. And so it's going to be him or Bridges. Decision making in that kind of spot, running the show, is not going to be his forte. And after the game that dude had, you'll be damned if you catch me killing him here for, yes, what were two not good shots. You know, it's an unfortunate way to lose. It's a frustrating way to lose. It's not something that's going to keep me up at night for 1 second. Okay. Kev, I don't like how Kev can't. Okay. Drew P. You know what, Kev? Maybe I'll just pull the super chats. Drew P. Any buyout candidates? Middleton. Also, what the fuck, Deuce? Come on. I mean, really, guys? I of all the things that I thought, this is my first shocker of the. It takes a while sometimes. My first shocker of the season. There's always one where I sit down for a post game and I think it's going to be one thing, and then it turns out to be something completely different. I don't know if this is everybody's opinion, but this is now 3 straight super chats killing Deuce. Any buyout candidates? Let's worry about that in March. It's November. Okay? We're not getting any buyout candidates right now or next month or the month after that. And frankly, if we were really having to sit here and talking about buyout candidates to help like rescue the season doesn't need rescuing. You know, Jalen Brunson's probably going to be back on Wednesday. OG Anunoby, however long he's out, once Brunson is back, they'll be okay. They'll be able to survive. They'll be able to weather the storm. Like, this is all the different ways in my head, like in the Doctor Strange 14 million, however many possibilities. The way this season has turned out so far, and I get they're 8-5 and they haven't won a road game. I understand that. But the way the season has turned out so far through 13 games, I would put in the upper, certainly in the upper quartile of potential outcomes that I personally foresaw. Now, I'm also someone who is like apoplectic by nature, and I'm always thinking the worst is going to happen. So, you know, maybe I'm a little high, but like the team's going out there. They bought into Brown's system. Brown's system is clearly working. They're playing hard. You know, it's like they'll be fine. You know, they don't need to be worrying about Chris Middleton, who, by the way, I don't know how much Wizards basketball you've watched. I'm not saying Chris Middleton doesn't have it in him to still help a team, but like, don't worry about Chris Middleton. I'm just looking at some of the post-game comments. Mike Brown praised Gershon Yabusele. I'm happy to hear that. I can't tell. He was it was asked about Mitchell Robinson's minutes limit. He said he could play 20-something. And so I guess that was more, in line with what I opened the show with, which was talking about, hey, open yourself up to a little criticism that not more Mitchell Robinson in the fourth. Again, I think it's fair. I'm not going to not losing sleep over it. All right. Thanks, Drew. Next up, John Leary. What's going on? Cat was fouled by Wiggins before Ware blocked it. I agree. But that was an incredibly physical game. And I am not surprised it wasn't called. Do I think the Knicks got the best whistle tonight? No, I don't. The hell is that? Shout out to John Henson, my guy, out in Cali. I always thinking about that bell curve, John. I don't even remember what the hell I was saying. Yeah, it was a physical game. I don't think the Knicks got a great whistle. You know, it happens. It's unfortunate. Thanks, John. All right, here we go. All right, Maxwell Warner. What's going on, Max? Tough loss, great game. Really wanted it for these guys. There you go, Max. Finally, a super chat I could get behind. That's exactly how I feel. Tough loss. Yes, agree. It was a very tough loss. I agree. It was a great game. Really hard fought game. I don't think did either team. I think the only double-digit lead in the entire game, if I'm not mistaken, was that brief 10-point lead the Heat took late. Yeah. Because the biggest lead for the Knicks was 6. And the Heat took a 10-point lead for did they have a 10-point lead for 20 seconds. I don't even know if they had it for that long. So this was, I mean, an incredibly tight game. An incredibly tight game. And really wanted it for the guys. Me too. And that to me speaks to, you want it for your players when you see the effort. And again, I mean, I could go through like that fourth quarter. Hart stands out for me. Again, this was not a great Josh Hart game, but his effort was second to none. And all the guys, I thought they all played really hard. So Mitchell Robinson, when he was out there, played incredibly hard. Everybody. All right. Thanks, Max. And now I think, are we doing our stat of the game? Okay, great. So our stat of the game, which is my guy, Jonah Kaufman, new KFS intern, been doing these bad boys. 6 missed free throws for the Knicks. So not a positive stat of the game, unfortunately, for us tonight. And I'm going to read the context here. That ties the highest number of missed free throws in a game this season. That's not good. But it marks the first time this season where the points left on the board from the free throw line would have been enough to win them the game. 6 different players took a free throw tonight, and 5 of them missed at least one. The only Knick who was perfect at the line, who was it? Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns, 7 for 7 from the line. Mitch, 1 of 2. Whatever. Mikal Bridges, 3 of 5. Don't love that. Landry, 5 of 6. Okay. Deuce missed that one free throw. Josh Hart missed the free throw, 2 of 3. Okay. That's your stat of the game. Thanks, Jonah. All right. Next up, Deadwards, 604. What's going on, Deadwards? Again with this. Man, did not see this coming. He helped us get back in it, but Deuce was brutal those last few possessions. Felt like he rushed into each of his shots, and Cat underperforming with no Bam is not a good look. I remember the running lefty layup, which was, again, not ideal. And then the 18-foot pull-up. Not great, but again, it wasn't a great shot. It wasn't even a good shot. Cat got the offensive rebound. And he put it up, and it was close enough to call a goaltend, and he probably got fouled. It's 2 shots. I get it. It's 2 shots in the last 15 seconds or 20 seconds, whatever. Yeah, 15.4 seconds. I get it, but that dude went out there and played so far above his pay grade for 47 minutes and 45 seconds. I get it. It's the end that counts, but sorry. I'm literally like, it's been a while since I've been flabbergasted on a post game. I'm flabbergasted. Come on, it's Deuce. We love Deuce here. I'm not saying that y'all don't love Deuce all of a sudden, but I thought maybe that he would get a little bit more grace, and he's not getting any, which, them's the breaks. Thanks, Edwards. Appreciate the generosity. Haitian Ferg, what's going on? All right, we got a little coach criticism here. Let's get into it. Bad subs mid-fourth quarter changed the game. Shamet for Deuce instead of Clarkson hurt us on both ends. 97-94 after the dunk. Coach took us out of rhythm. So let's take a look at it. I think it's fair. They were up. It was a 13-point turnaround. So 97-94. The next sub after 97-94 was a Heat timeout. Next sub was, sorry, I got to scroll here. So it was 100-99 after the Mitchell layup that Clarkson fouled him on. So that made it 101-99. That was a bad defensive possession by Clarkson. I completely agree. So at that point, Shamet comes in for McBride. So you're saying, let's put Shamet in for Clarkson instead. Let's see what happens from there. Clarkson missed a 23-foot three-pointer. I'm trying to remember if that was a corner look. If it was a corner look, it was good. All of Clarkson's threes tonight, I remember feeling in the moment like they were all good shots. He didn't make any of them. Whatever. I mean, so you live with that. Then you had a Powell floater. I honestly don't remember if Jordan Clarkson was defending him on that. He may have been. So in any case, then you had Bridges stepping out of bounds where they I think Breen or Clyde, I forget who said it, said he walked right into the double team, which he did. Now, if Deuce is in there, does that maybe give the Knicks one extra ball handler so Mikal is not in that position where he walks into a double team? Maybe. Then you got a Ware miss, a Cat miss. Davion made a 3-foot. Yeah, I mean, and that might, again, Clarkson. It's tough because I don't remember these, like who was defending these guys specifically, but Clarkson was not good defensively. Then it was a full timeout, and then Deuce entered the game for Jordan Clarkson when the Knicks were down 6. So really, Haitian Ferg, what you're focusing on is essentially two baskets because Landry came in for Deuce after Clarkson fouled Mitchell and before he shot the free throw. It felt like the coach over the course of a minute and a half, because that's all it was. It was 5:58 to 4. It's not even. It's a minute and 18 seconds. Feels like maybe the coach realized his error and corrected it. I mean, you would think so. Are we going to go to minutes being maybe why he was trying to buy Deuce a few minutes? Deuce McBride in this game played 39 minutes. So, I don't know, maybe his goal is to try to keep everyone under 40. 3 guys played 39 minutes. Nobody played above 40, which is interesting. Even Mikal played 39. And there was a stretch. I forget when. There was a stretch of the second half where I'm like, man, they could really use Mikal out there. You got to get these guys some rest. So, Haitian, I love you. I'm not going to kill Brown for that. I get what you're saying. And obviously it did flip the momentum. So if Brown had to do it over again, maybe he does it differently. But, again, it's tough break, but it is what it is. Thanks, Haitian. Appreciate you, man, as always. Ray Marcano, what's going on? That last Deuce possession is what I dislike about his game. He drives like he's 6'8", and he's 6 foot at best. Brutal. So this I could kind of get behind because it's at least kind of steeped in some facts. Deuce is not good at the rim. We've known this. He's never been good at the rim. He's never going to be good at the rim, probably. At this point, he's not. I just don't think he has the touch. I think on that possession, he drove like a guy who was taller than he is. I think more often than not, it is just he just doesn't have great touch that close to the rim, which is why you see him rely more on the sorts of shots he took in the penultimate possession, that 18-footer. But I think the way you phrase it is, at least I'm here for it, because it is really the only thing, that and the handle. It's the only things to dislike about his game. And yet, in his role, what he is supposed to be, not a starting point guard, but a 7th man and a guy who could come in and play either guard position and play about 25 minutes a night. Those deficiencies are not going to show up nearly as much in when he is in his proper role. And in his proper role, unless it's a wide open kick out 3, Deuce McBride has never taken a shot in the last 15 seconds of a close game. He's certainly never going to be initiating a possession. Not that. But again, it speaks to the specific depth issue of this team, that if Jalen Brunson is not out there / has to miss a game, they don't have a reasonable next option. The guy who could do the closest Jalen Brunson impersonation is probably Jordan Clarkson. And we just got done talking about how the coach may have screwed up by having Jordan Clarkson even in the game during that later stretch of the fourth quarter. So, it's why they went and tried to exhume the corpse of Malcolm Brogdon. And that didn't work out so well for him. Will they try to address it before the deadline? We'll see. Thanks, Ray. Appreciate you, man. Josso focused. Kev, we'll do our read next after this one. My Shamit points line was 10.5 in the chat. No over. Listen, don't talk to me about tough beats because I had the video segment tonight for Knicks Film School, and I did cash in on my best bet. My best bet was Mikal Bridges over 19.5 points. Thank the good Lord I got that. But I had Mitch over 12 rebounds. And of course, Mitchell Robinson plays 18 minutes and gets 11 rebounds. And that was my home run bet too. Because I think I forget if it was at plus 350 or plus 400 or something like that. But I was looking at it, I'm like, and the juice on 12 rebounds was considerably better than on 11 rebounds. So I went with 12. He gets 11. I get screwed out of that. I went Norm Powell over. We have to make an op bet. So I went Norm Powell over 3.5 made threes. Of course, Norm Powell ends up killing us in the end, just not from the 3-point line. Doesn't hit any threes. And then I went with Deuce over or at least 3 threes. Shamit at least 4 threes. Deuce more than held up his end of the bargain. Got 5 threes. Shamit takes 7, makes freaking 1. So some bad beats for me tonight. None worse than Mitch, but what are you gonna do? Thanks, Job. All right, let us take a very quick second to hear from our good friends at Huel. Let's see, what am I going to pull out tonight? Let's do. Still a little chocolate. I'm in the mood for a chocolate one. So, what is Huel? Huel is something that you might need or want if you have a busy morning, busy lunch, busy dinner, busy life. If you're in a situation where you have to skip a meal or it's late and you have to finish a post-game show and then write a newsletter, and you just have literally time to open a bottle and drink what's in it. Huel is the go-to meal when you don't have time to have something a little bit more substantive. But hey, here's the thing. Huel is substantive because in the Black Edition ready to drink, which you could see right here, and I just opened, it is all the things you need: 35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no added sugar. 400 calories, fine, but it's all good stuff, and it's under $5 per meal, and it's delicious. And then in the Daily Greens ready to drink can, that's only 25 calories. Vitamins, minerals. Again, it's all the stuff you want. None of the stuff you don't. You know the deal. Huel makes healthy eating simple. They're in Target stores nationwide. You can try both the Black Edition ready to drink and the Daily Greens ready to drink can. With 15% off your purchase for new customers, use the exclusive code KFS at www.huel.com/KFS. And use the code KFS and then fill out the post-checkout survey to support your boys here at Knicks Film School. Okay. Dom Cappuccini. What's going on, Dom? I know it's a disappointing one. Great game. I agree. Encouraging signs on both ends at times. Well put, Dom. Well put. Cat might be back soon. Yes. I got a feeling your prediction will still come true, John. Go Knicks. My weekly prediction, I said it. I called it. For anybody who missed last night's, the prediction I did with Jeremy on yesterday's show, I picked 2-1, and I said I have a feeling the Knicks will lose in Miami and they will win in Dallas and they will win in Orlando. That was my gut feeling. I think Brunson. I bet you Brunson is going to be. I bet you we're going to open or Brunson is going to be listed as questionable. No. I bet you Brunson's going to be listed as doubtful ahead of the Dallas game. I just wonder if he's going to be a game time decision. I haven't decided yet whether I think Brunson will play on Wednesday. I think he will play on Saturday. Maybe he plays on Wednesday, which if he does, that would be great. But they should beat Dallas anyway, frankly. So, yeah. So I'm feeling okay. Again, tonight's not the game to get discouraged about at all. This was an honorable, respectable loss. Thanks, Tom. Jason M. 7-man rotation in the first half was ridiculous. Ridiculous. I would say with a capital R, but there's no capital R there. I mean, you said it. Look, we know what the situation would be if this was a different coach. I don't know what else to say about it. Look, what do you want me to say? Sure. Okay. Yabusele, I thought looked pretty good to me in the second half. Should he have gone to Yabu in the first half? Maybe. Was his thinking always to give Yabusele however, what did he give him? 10 minutes in the second half? Yeah, 10 minutes in the second half. Was that always the plan? With the thinking like, I'm going to run my guys a little bit harder in the first half, and then when they're more tired in the second half, I will extend the rotation a little bit? I have no idea. Or was it as simple as Mitch needed a breather and Cat was in foul trouble, and that's why Yabusele got in the game, and Yabusele stayed in the game because he was playing pretty well, which again, Mike Brown confirmed for you because he blew some smoke up his butt in the postgame podium. Look, what'd you want him? He could have played Yabusele, could have played Diawara. I'll leave it for y'all to decide how ridiculous it is. It's it's November. They just had 2 days off. I don't know. I didn't go crazy about this stuff for the last head coach. I'm not going to go crazy about this stuff for this head coach. Sorry, Jason. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? 8 minutes in the third, the Macau dunk. Please, more of this. Yeah, that was something, right? I mean, in general, I think Mikal Bridges has, and actually, I'll look this up. I don't think the stats are going to be updated to reflect tonight, but I'm going to look it up anyway. I think Mikal has been far more aggressive going to the rim and generally shooting closer to the basket this year than he was last year, certainly. Anyway, it's there more than he thinks. I'm a Mikal attack the rim truther. More free throws, more rhythm. Hashtag Zapruder film goaltend. I'm here for it. Man, the fact that we were like briefly tied. Oh, God. That's fucking frustrating. And it was a fucking foul. Fuck Miami and fuck the refs. So Bridges. Why am I pulling up the team page? Bridges at the rim this year is taking. Well, first of all, he's hitting. It's actually only hitting 67% of his shots at the rim, which is like average for a wing. Last year, he was elite at the rim, 90 or 76%, which was in the 97th percentile. But part of the reason that he was elite at the rim last year is he didn't shoot a lot at the rim last year. Last year, actually, this isn't not as different as I thought it would be. 22% of his shots came at the rim last year. This year, only 24%. So it's not as big of an uptick as you'd think. Now, the free throw rate has gone up. I'll pull up that stat next because I do think he's getting fouled on a lot of these forays to the rim. Last year, and won on 27% of his shooting fouls this year, and won on 37.5% of his shooting fouls. That's good. Shooting fouls drawn on 5.4% of his possessions this year versus 4.3% of his possessions last year. Again, 5.4 is still a very low number, but it's like a 23% increase on 4.3%. So that's something. Look, it's positive steps. But I think to your point, the best 4 words of your super chat are please more of this. I agree. Please, more of this, Mikal. Thanks, Anthony. Ja with another one. Good fight. Tough loss. Let's get to the next one. Amen. I got nothing to add. Thanks, John. Appreciate you. I think they'll win on Wednesday. I think they'll have a good game. I'm sure they're pissed about tonight. But it was good to see them fight. Mr. Fabro, what's going on? Mr. Fabro, yet another game of our opponent shooting above their season 3-point average. This is becoming a big problem. Yeah, I mean, the fact that their 3-point defense, again, I'm sure it's second to last in the league in terms of opposing 3-point accuracy. So it cannot get much worse than this. Like, truly, it cannot get much worse than this. And yet, I love my and yets, as you guys know. Right now, where are they? After tonight, they're 17th in defense. Which is like 17th in defense is not. You know what? That feels like where they should be, because there are 7, 6, 7, 8 truly atrocious train wreck level teams in the league. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, about 8, 7 or 8, whatever. And by the way, one of those, Dallas, has a really good defense. So really, it's maybe like 5 or 6 that have like a truly atrocious train wreck level defense. So really, you're not like 17th sounds okay because it's like, oh, it's 2 spots away from being average. And like if you look at the points per 100 possessions, they're at 115.3. The Lakers are in 16th. This is according to Cleaning the Glass, by the way. They're at 115.1. So not that far away. The team that's in 13th, or actually the team that's in 12th is Miami. They're at 113.9. So, they're 1.5 points per 100 possessions, 1.4 points per 100 possessions worse than the team that is currently ranked 12th. So, like, they have a good defensive performance against Dallas on Wednesday, which I'm guessing they will because Dallas can't shoot. They'll probably be right up in 12th to 13th. But this feels like the appropriate range because they're not really league average when you take out those like 6 or so dreadful teams. They are like, they feel like among teams that like are a representative sample size, they feel like they're probably here we go, right above the bottom quartile of teams. Didn't think you guys were going to get the double quartile in this post game, but I'm full of surprises. So there you go. Okay, let's move on. Thanks, Mr. Fabro. It has to get better. Defense has to get better. Greg Film Stuff. Cat's human. We knew that. What's the? Oh my God! It's such a famous quote. To err is human. To do something is divine. To err is human. What is to forgive is divine? Ah, how appropriate! Cat errs means he's human. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna forgive because we are a divine fan base. I appreciate the late run to try and steal a win. I envy the Heat having the luxury to run out young, talented forwards like Ware and Jaime Jaquez. The Knicks need another Wilson Chandler. There's just certain organizations that like the development thing, they just kind of have on lockdown, on lock. Not lockdown, on lock. Like the Heat, you look tonight, like Pell Larson, like just another classic Heat find. Drew Smith, my God. You know why the Knicks lost tonight? Because of fucking Drew Smith. Again, a guy went undrafted, notable college player, has dealt with injuries. Sure shit, he comes tonight and he hits 3 or 4 from 3 against the Knicks. Fontecchio. But Fontecchio's a guy who, like, you watched him on Utah and you watch him on Detroit, and you're like, why isn't this guy getting more consistent minutes? And sure enough, here in Miami, he's getting consistent minutes and he's shooting 50% from 3. It's just Davion Mitchell. The Kings are the dumpster fire of the league. They had Davion Mitchell, and then he went to Toronto, and then he kind of was better in Toronto when he got himself a nice contract with Miami. But he's really good. And Norm Powell's. I know we didn't have a great night tonight, but the guy's probably like an all-star team. So they're really good. I know they have had some up and down years, but they do something right when it comes to this stuff. And it's frustrating as hell it's frustrating as hell when we're sitting here and we're, as to Jason's point, we're running out 7 guys in the first half. You know, like I mean, of all the things to like rue, to sit here and be like the fucking Dadier and Kolek picks, I don't want to sit here all season and be like, thinking about those freaking picks. But it's like we're at the point where it's like, man, couldn't get one guy out of those 2. Anyway, thanks, Greg. Jason with another one. Thought Cat's process was good. The shots didn't fall. Yeah, my only issue with his process was I thought let me rephrase that. It depends what you mean by process. I agree with you, but he let what Miami was doing to take him out of his game get to him, and it led to some silly fouls. Is that part of process? I get where you're coming from. I don't think it is either. But if you wanted to be like, no, that's part of the process, I would also hear that. And then the other part of it, and this did bring me back to a newsletter I wrote earlier in the year. The first half tonight was a reminder that just physicality, he just doesn't do well with physicality. That's all. I mean, let me rephrase that. Physicality can throw him off his game and often does throw him off his game. And it can be difficult for him to get back on track once he is thrown off. Again, is that part of process? How's that for process? Thanks, Jason. Excuse me. JDM with another one. What's going on, JDM? The Mitch minutes thing confuses me. Even Yabu got run. I mean, Mike Brown told you after the game Mitch can play over 20 minutes. He said he didn't put Mitch back in the game in the fourth quarter because he liked how Yabu was playing. Of all of the decisions that Brown made, so let's go through them. 7-man rotation in the first half. Taking Deuce out for that stretch in the fourth and leaving Clarkson in, and the thing kind of went off the rails a little bit. Not playing Mitch Moore in the fourth quarter. Did I forget one? Don't think I forgot one. Yeah, I think those are the ones. Of those 3, not seeing Mitch in the fourth quarter is the one that probably bothers me the most. That's me. Just because I'm a big Mitchell Robinson fan, and I find that Mitchell Robinson, when he's in the game, generally finds a way to positively impact things. But again, the point that I tried to make earlier, and I don't know if I landed the plane on the point now that we're 90 or 70 minutes into the postgame, I'll try to land the point now. I understand not having Mitch out there because you're trying to get as much offense out there as possible and as much ball movement and passing and skill and all of those sorts of things, just in an effort to try to generate good looks at the basket. By the same token, is there a better offense for this team with no Jalen Brunson than shooting half-decent shots and letting Mitchell Robinson go out and get the offensive rebound? But offensive rebounds, tougher to come by in the fourth quarter when the refs are letting a little bit more fly, as we saw late, so I don't know. We could go back and forth on this all day. It's again, not going to keep me up at night. All right. We're down to the final 4. Joseph Melio, what's going on? Mike Brown rotations in the fourth quarter were questionable. JC was bullied on defense. Yeah, we just talked about some of that stuff. Clarkson, so I made a prediction somewhere, and I think I referenced it here on the show at some point, that I think the Knicks, if they make a move at the deadline, it's either going to be trying to get a big because they don't feel like they could trust Yabusele and they don't feel like they could trust Mitch's health. But that's going to be tough because it's just like you always are going to pay a premium for bigs, especially at the deadline. And I just don't know. I don't know. Or a backup ball handler who is not going to get bullied on the defensive end. And I'm not saying that those players are incredibly easy to come by. They're not, but they are out there. And I wonder if they look at Clarkson. And again, what are we all doing here? What are we doing here? We're trying to win a fucking title. That's what we're doing here. So if you're trying to win a title and there's like a 65% chance that you're going to have to face Oklahoma City in the finals, and there are a bunch of behemoths. Now, not that they are necessarily the best matchup hunting team in the league. They're not. Denver. Whatever, whoever you end up facing, it's like, do you trust Clarkson to be able to play real minutes? And if not, do you have to address that spot? We talked about the rotations. Again, did it work out tonight? Didn't seem to work out, but thanks, Joseph. And then 0 shots for Bridges in the fourth quarter is wild. I mean, but again, who gets the blame for that? You're not blaming anybody. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you are blaming someone, but Bridges, for as long as Brunson is out, like, he's kind of one of the ball handlers. Now, I did not keep tabs on how many fourth quarter possessions Bridges just was mostly in the corner and the ball didn't get to him. Is it a problem? Yes. After the game he had, it's absolutely a problem that Bridges didn't get any shots in the fourth quarter. But that goes back to McBride having to play a role that he is not really accustomed to playing and he's not cut out for. And I trust if Brunson was in, would have been a different situation. But it's what happens when you're down bodies. Thanks, Joseph. Kevin Danishevsky is going to finish us up tonight. Enjoyable game to watch. Can't really kill anyone, but those cat fouls absolutely freaking destroy you. Yeah. Also, they're so freaking obvious too. My boy Macau. There we go. That's a positive Macau one. And then so freaking obvious to everybody but Cat, I should say. Look, Karl is he's going to Karl. Whenever he's out there, he's going to Karl it up. Karl up in front of a fireplace with a nice hot chocolate. Good book. That's who he is. He's Karl. He's Karl-Anthony Towns. He's always going to be Karl-Anthony Towns. Never going to change. It's year 10. Guy, I just wrote a piece for the Knicks Film School Patreon, which just reminds me, I forgot to announce something. I'll announce it now. Better late than never. I just wrote a piece for the Knicks Film School Patreon last week in which I detailed Karl-Anthony Towns' Hall of Fame chances. And spoiler alert, if he doesn't get hurt and he plays another 2-3 years, he's getting in. And it's not going to be particularly close. And yet, everybody who's ever seen him play is going to attest to the exact same thing that you're attesting to, Kevin, which is that he was just an incredibly frustrating player. But you know what? There's other guys in the Hall of Fame who were pretty frustrating. Does Cat get to the point where, the frustrations start to get, or the good more significantly outweighs the frustrations? I hope so, because that means we will have won a championship, and I would very much like to do that at some point. Okay. Before we get out of here, I want to do, I should have said this at the top of the show, but of course I can't keep anything straight and I'm awful at this shit. This week only. So for this post game, Wednesday's post game, and then Saturday's post game. And then also this week for both the newsletter, the Knicks Film School newsletter on Substack, and also Knicks Film School on Patreon. Anything that comes in. So for the post-game show, it's any super chats that we got tonight. And then for Wednesday, it's going to be any super chats we get on Wednesday. And then for Friday, it's going to be any super chats that we get on, or excuse me, Saturday. Any super chats we get on Saturday. And then any signups, any annual signups that we get for either the newsletter on Substack or the Patreon, any annual signups we get for either of those this week, up until the end of the day on Sunday, we are donating 20% of the proceeds, whatever, to a wonderful cause, a Thanksgiving turkey drive that is being run by my good buddy Jeffrey Ballone over at MetsFix. So for anybody, you know what? I'm actually going to hold on. I could put this in if I put this in the chat right now, Kev, you could copy it and you could put it in the chat, right? So Kev's going to put this and I guess pin it in the regular chat here. So if anybody is watching the show right now on YouTube or wants to go back and look for this, it'll be there. You could also look for it in my newsletter, my Monday newsletter, and any newsletter this week. I'm gonna have it at the top, like the free portion of every newsletter this week. So if you want to just donate directly, it's for a great cause. It's run by the Bowery Mission. Way back in the day when me and JB were running KFS together, we used the Bowery Mission for our previous turkey drives. But in partnership with MetsFix, they've done the vast majority of the heavy lifting here. Over $4,000 has been raised. We're trying to get even higher. So again, if you have maybe thought about signing up for the Knicks Film School Patreon, if you've thought about signing up for my newsletter, or again for Wednesday and for Saturday's post games, if you like thinking about making a super chat or whatever, again, 20% of all of that stuff is going to go towards this wonderful effort to try to help feed homeless, families and other people in need on Thanksgiving. So again, check out the link if you want to just donate and you don't want to sign up for Patreon or the newsletter. That's totally fine too. Please, by all means, click on that link, donate what you can, even if it's a couple bucks. Every little bit helps. All right. I think that's it. Let's get out of here. Thanks for tuning into the show. Appreciate everything that was done by Kev tonight. Jonah with the stat of the night. Andrew always doing his thing in the background. And, of course, all of you for checking out another episode of the Knicks Film School postgame show presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. If you dig the show, do all the stuff that you know you could do to help support it. 5-star rating, nice review. Follow us on socials at Knicks Film School, SKOOL. And, support a good cause. Maybe donate a couple of bucks, or, again, if you want to do so and support your friends from Knicks Film School, you know how to do that as well. Okay, that's it. Talk to everybody later. Peace out.
Must be 21 or over? Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Sportsbook app.